Jor. I'm the Materials Management Supervisor in the Solid Waste Program of Vermont's Department of Environmental Conservation. And I started at DEC in 2017 when we were busy rolling out the Universal Recycling Law, reminding Vermonters about the rules of recycling and that eventually everyone was going to have to separate their food scraps from the trash. We were also trying to educate about what to do with your food scraps and how to backyard compost. But as the years went on, I never felt like we were really doing enough to focus on waste prevention and reduction. And, sure, we covered the waste hierarchy, what most people refer to as the 3 or 4 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, rot, or compost. And we knew there were a lot of Vermonters that shared our passion for waste reduction, but we weren't really doing anything to actively harness this existing interest and the expertise in the population that we see right here today. I had worked previously at Shelburne Farms, where I'd helped coordinate the Vermont Farm to School Network, which was also part of the National Farm to School Network. And I've also been involved in the Farm to Plate Network. And those are really good examples of how a network of like-minded people can, experience firsthand the excitement and synergy from getting people together that share ideas and to get them to work on solving a problem or working on a common goal. So I'd also heard of other states working on reduce and reuse networks like Minnesota and Massachusetts. So we really wanted to get something started in Vermont. And after 18 years, believe it or not, of supporting the Vermont Organics Recycling Summit, or VORS, which I know some of you have participated in, that helped build this network of composters across the state. We decided we should do something similar for the reduce and reuse community in Vermont. So fast forward to 2023, and we got an EPA grant, and we were able to carve out some funds to hire Susan Alexander, who I'll introduce in a minute, to help coordinate this effort. We're not exactly sure where this process is going to take us. We tried to cast a net wide for this first meeting, and we're really excited to see what happens. As you can tell, I'm really excited to see that there are 41 people here. So what happens is partly going to depend on you and your ideas, so please feel free to share. So I'm just going to finish with our goals. I see them as twofold. First is to build this coalition around waste reduction, reuse, and repair. And then second is to create an open, inclusive network that supports practitioners and encourages all Vermonters to participate. So now I'd like to introduce Susan Alexander of Mull and More. She's the contractor that we hired to help with this project. And some of you know her already. She's no stranger to waste management, as she used to be many years the district manager of the Lamoille Regional Solid Waste Management District. And she's going to introduce herself, review the agenda, and will facilitate the rest of the meeting. So thanks again for coming. Susan, take it away.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Anne. And wow, how super excited am I to see this first meeting come to fruition. And great to see some of the names and faces that I've been emailing back and forth with. And especially thankful for all of you who have opted to be in front of your screen this afternoon instead of out in front of that in front of the real world, because it is just another stellar spring day out there. So we will keep this to our time limit of 3:30, and I might be moving you along a little bit faster than you like. I'm not being impolite. We just want to make sure you do get some outdoor time today. So as Anne said, I'm Susan Alexander. I've been an independent contractor for years. My company name is Mull and More. And I was retained by the Agency of Natural Resources to spearhead this campaign. And the way I see that is this is just sort of really the beginning, right? As Anne mentioned, 18 years ago, there was this thing called the Composting Association of Vermont, which has created this incredible annual conference every year. And if I'm half as successful as Natasha has been in getting a coalition up and running, we will be in great shape. So Anne had a couple of goals that she put out there, and that's kind of more like the bigger, broader umbrella that we all fit under. And specific to this next 12-month effort, 12, 15-month effort that I'll be working on. I see the 3 goals as being, they're fairly simple, but they are ambitious. And number 1 is we want to elevate and amplify the opportunities for reuse, for reducing, reusing, and repairing. Right? The 3 R's. It seems to make so much sense, but those are sometimes the hardest ones to implement. We also want to support this local and circular economy, right? So I take my lamp down to my neighbor to have it fixed. So it's the money I've made here today gets spent at my neighbor's house. And it also creates a circular economy where instead of just buying something at the store, taking it home, it breaks and goes to the landfill, nice straight line from store to landfill. This is going to keep things looping through through their life cycle as many times as really possible. And the third one really is, from my background in waste management, so important, which is to reduce the amount of waste that's going to our one and only landfill and to conserve all the natural resources that go into procuring all new products, right? Everything has to come out of the earth at some point, the earth, the air, and the water that we're all trying to protect and keep as healthy as possible. So those are kind of my 3 more immediate goals under this larger umbrella. There are, however, some challenges with this, as you can imagine, especially for reusing and repairing. And not to name names and not to pick on anybody, but it's called Amazon or LL Bean or whoever, Target. They all have this brilliant business model that caters to our desire to have things, immediately. It's easy, it's convenient, it gives us options that we didn't even know existed. I just looked for a grill cleaner scraper, and who knew that there were 14 different kinds available. So the challenge is that reducing, reusing, and repairing aren't quite as simple, but we're going to work on that. And one of our presenters today is going to help us figure out how to find places to not only post your business, but also to find that if you're looking for that person who will fix your toaster. The other challenge is that this is a big community and all are welcome, but we have a very wide and long bench. So we have people on both ends of the spectrum, from my neighbor who does fix lamps in his basement, right? So if you're looking for a guy in Cabot, he's your man. And then we have the larger stores like Goodwill and Habitat for Humanity that do everything from books to clothing to household goods and everything in between, right? So we have this huge spectrum. And within that, we also have nonprofits and donations and swaps, things that just happen like pop-ups. And there's also within this community the difference between those who are running thrift shops or reusing and those who are repairing. And not everybody is going to want to hear about everything. So one of my challenges is to figure out how each one of the smaller sectors within this huge community can be served by this coalition. Might be a little ambitious, but that's what we're going to work towards. Let's see, I'm just going to go quickly and run through what we're doing today. We have kind of what I'm considering a sampler of what's out there for existing programs and opportunities. We're going to keep these presentations fairly short, and if we have time, we'll allow for a question or two, but please feel free to use the chat. We want to hear from you. We had a little problem with some of our technology earlier, so bear with us. If it happens, don't panic. You can always get back into the meeting, or you can always contact me afterwards if you have burning questions or great comments, because that's what we want to hear. So the first presenter today is Susanna from Front Porch Forum. She is going to talk to us about a free service that Front Porch Forum provides in addition to all the other things they do on their community bulletin board. They actually have a very sophisticated database for a directory where you can put your business up there, describe what it is, where you're located, and then myself as a consumer, or any of us as consumers, can go into that directory and say, I need to find somebody who's going to fix my toaster, and I want to find anybody in my town or in my county or in the whole state. So it's a really sophisticated and great tool. So we're going to look forward to having her help us all out with that, show us how it's used. Ariana Soloway is a store owner in the Chittenden County area called the Makery. It's a really unique business in that it's very niche, specific to art supplies. So it's not Goodwill. It doesn't have everything for everyone, but she's not only doing this great collection of reusable art supply material, but programming around it as well. And then the third person we're going to hear from today is Emily Johnson from Addison County Solid Waste on these repair cafes that they've been doing and are becoming much more popular. We love them. They build community. They really are a wonderful way to get your small thing repaired or learn how to repair for yourself, but they're also intermittent. So how do we build the repair cafes to have more or maybe more semi-permanent hubs? So after that, we'll have time, hopefully, for a little bit of Q&A. But again, if we can't get to all of you, because it is a large number, please put your questions or comments in the chat or contact me directly. We're going to have some small groups that Anne's going to assign us into. It's going to be random. So you just go into the group and a couple of questions that we'll be asking you to think about. Again, what Anne said is your information is what's going to help us to deliver and give us the information we need to build a program that's best for all of us, right? So your thoughts, your idea, your creativity, that's going to be our roadmap for success. I think that's it. And then we'll do a little wrap up at the end. So with that, Anne, do we have a poll to start? Is that going to be our first? Are we going to?
Yes.
All right, Suzanne.
So our poll, let's see if it's going to work, is why did you come to the meeting today? And you should be able to choose multiple options, but there's a small chance that if you're not a state of Vermont employee, you might not be able to. So, oops, did not go.
So while Anne's putting that up, just a reminder that what you can enter in here helps us prepare for future meetings.
Yes, and in case you're not able to use the poll
here.
once Anne launches it, you can check in the chat. The Microsoft Forms poll is also linked there.
So click on chat and I'll find a form there to open.
Yes,
So-
that's correct.
Yeah, oh, good. So some folks are being able to respond to the poll. And if you wanted to have other as your response, you can feel free to put that answer in the chat as well.
And people can choose more than one option.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to say that at the beginning.
So we'll take a couple minutes here just to let you guys read that, consider it, and put your comments in there or make your choices.
So it looks like so far the most popular option is to help create the reuse and repair community. And then next we have curiosity, that you have skills to offer. And then looks like there's a tie between learning new skills and finding resources to get things repaired. And then we have another. So thanks to everyone who's submitted an answer. And again, if you can't, for some reason, use the poll, there is the link that Sarah shared. That's a kind of a separate Microsoft Forms. And hopefully by the time we have our next meeting, we'll figure out how to get everyone involved in the polls. This is a new thing for us to try. So yeah, why don't we keep moving on, and Susanna, let's hear from Susanna about getting the word out.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you, Susan, for inviting me. This is terrific. Like, you are our people, and we appreciate your time and willingness to listen to a few minutes about Front Porch Forum, but I'm really eager to jump into questions too. Anne, would you mind sharing
You want me to share?
the presentation I sent you? Even though I work for a tech company, I can't seem to share my own screen. And if you don't mind going to slide number 2. Perfect. If you could just, yeah, pause on, yeah, perfect, right there. Thank you so much. So many of you are familiar with Front Porch Forum, but if you're not, we are an organization that supports online community connection throughout the state of Vermont. Every town in Vermont has its own forum, and in the state of 270,000 households, there are 240,000 members of Front Porch Forum. So you may be already part of our conversation. You may be connecting with neighbors. You may be selling and buying. You may be finding babysitters. You may be offering to mow people's lawns. But we are super proud to be active in, really almost every town and providing that resource. We're a public benefit corporation, which means we are not a nonprofit, we're a for-profit, but we don't receive any state or federal dollars. We are supported in large part by our local businesses who choose Front Porch Forum as a place to advertise, and also by those who enjoy the service and choose to make a donation. If you don't mind going to the next slide, please. So you are probably familiar with looking at Front Porch Forum on your phone. That first screenshot there is the email that you receive, and you see the email service. But what you may not dig into as often is the community calendar. We also have a business directory, which is what I'm really going to be digging into today, and also the ability to search throughout your emails, your calendar, and your directory listings to find out, someone last week mentioned a plumber. Let me do a search for plumber and see what comes up. And then you'll be able to sort of find that posting and also find some other listings. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. So it's possible that you really just look at the email, but what you'll see at the top of your email, and I won't be mad if during this presentation you pull up your Front Porch Forum and take a look at it. There's the forum, which you're probably very used to. There's also the community calendar, the directory, and the search. So today, what I'm going to really be talking about is that directory. So if you click on directory, what comes up is essentially you will see that we have over 15,000 nonprofits and businesses across the state who have a listing in our business directory. And what's cool is that you can look locally, but you can also look statewide. This is one of the areas of Front Porch Forum that is not restricted to your town. You can see the contents of the business directory across the state. And top secret, even if you aren't a member of Front Porch Forum, you can still log in and see the directory. So I think this is just the most powerful tool. We're super excited about it. So you'll see there that you can click local, regional, or all of Vermont as you are doing your search. If you could go to the next slide, please. So here I did a search. I live in Shelburne, and I did a search for small engine repair. We're pulling the lawnmowers out and they are not working. So I wanted to see locally how many businesses in my area provide small engine repair. And it is too small for me to read. Anyway, it's a handful. But when you click on all of Vermont, you'll see that I'm willing to drive to Colchester or down to Middlebury to get this lawnmower fixed. You will see that there's that many more listings available. If you could look at the next slide, please. So this is what happens. You do your search, and then you click on one of the businesses that come up, and you can dig into it a little bit. This is Mike's Small Engine Repair. This is the one that came up at the top for me. And you'll see that it is, it's a pretty good description. It's Mike could probably add a little bit more information about what he's up to. But I do want to call to your attention one of the most powerful things, and one of the things that we love about this local network, is that you can see that people who have made recommendations for Mike's small engine repair in their forum, those recommendations get attached to that business. So yeah, it's kind of like a Yelp or a Google review, but this is made in Vermont. It's hosted in Vermont, and these are recommendations by Vermonters, by your neighbors who are advocates saying, yeah, Mike is trustworthy. And to us, we feel like that carries a lot of power. If you could go to the next slide, please.
For some reason, it is not advancing. Interesting.
Okay.
Let me try to stop sharing and get back in.
So if I can just pop in here while we're waiting for that, Susanna, that is like from the user side, if I'm looking for that service, right? So
yeah,
anyone
right.
in the state has access to that. They can go in, they can screen for whatever they want.
Exactly.
And then if you're a business provider, you're going to show us how they get in there.
Right. So I quickly just wanted to show you another example of another search. So I did a search for consignment, and you'll see the 69 listings that came up for me in all of Vermont as when I did that search. And if you could do the next slide, please.
Keeps
Maybe.
freezing.
Okay, that's
yeah,
all right.
I'll stop and come back in again.
I'm happy just to kind of talk through it. Essentially, the next listing I wanted to show you had the businesses. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Their logo is showing on their listing. And that is because Neat Repeats Resale Shop in Middlebury is paying a fairly reasonable monthly fee in order to have their logo showing. So they're supporting Front Porch Forum, but also are taking advantage of the fact that they can have their logo showing. And here you can also, again, see recommendations that neighbors have made about this business, which is so powerful. I'm going to ask you to try to go to the next slide.
Very strange. I'll stop and come back in again.
Don't you love technology? It's so
I
great.
know. That was yeah. Okay. Here we go.
But what I really want to draw your attention to today is this network, right? Like there's so much possibility here. Personally, in your own business or nonprofit world, whether you are part of a business or an organization or representing a larger district, we want to make sure that you're in our directory. We have over 15,000 members in our directory, but this is free. Every business in Vermont should be in here. And so all you really need to do is sign up for Front Porch Forum. You add your business, and then you have an opportunity to build out your profile. Here's what I would encourage. Consider this like a free, super easy to use website. This is your website that anybody in Vermont can find when they're doing a search on Front Porch Forum. So like any website, you want to make sure all your information is there. Who are you? What services do you provide? Are you, fixing lamps, lawnmowers? Are you selling fabric, etc.? And be really super specific, using all of the terms that anyone might use. Like if you're mowing lawns, make sure you also put the word grass in there. Like somebody might, just think about how people search for things. Think about how you search for things, and make sure that in your directory listing, you fully describe in a robust description sort of what you're up to. And then that directory listing exists for free in perpetuity on Front Porch Forum. If you would like to have some photos and logos, etc., like I said, for a small subscription fee, you can subscribe and make that possible. And then also, as a business, we really encourage you to be posting. So once a month for free, every business can post in their forum to promote, whatever events. I think I was just seeing the I can't remember what it's called, and I should, especially in this crowd, you know, like the rover that comes through the toxic materials rover places. Anyway, that was just in my forum. And so make sure you're posting, and those postings also get pulled into your directory listing. So if someone finds you in the directory, they can see your postings, they can see the recommendations about you. You know, again, super easy to use and free and viewable across the state. What I would do, if you could go to the next slide, maybe, here is sort of the to-do list I would love to leave you with. And then, of course, I'm happy to answer any questions. If you're not a member of Front Porch Forum, please join. If you do not enjoy a full inbox, then download the app. The app is super easy, clean, slick to use. I use it. If I want to post something, you know, then you can just pull the photos from your phone if I'm selling something. Really easy to use the app. Please join Front Porch Forum. Make sure that you have your own business directory listing going. And again, include all the info that you would, you know, make sure all the services that you provide are in there. And as this network builds, consider using that phrase, reuse, repair, recycle, or the reduce, reuse, repair network. Maybe we, you know, if everyone puts that into their directory listing, then as people are searching, they will see that you are part of this network, which will also be powerful. Use your postings. That's free marketing that you should absolutely use. And whenever you're talking with people who have enjoyed your service, ask them to recommend it. Ask them to do a posting about it that both alerts members of the town that they, you know, thought it was useful, but also, again, those can also be seen statewide once they're attached to your directory listing. So you all know that Front Porch Forum is a place where that circular economy exists in a very, very powerful way. People are giving away, they are seeking items, they are selling items, they are buying items, giving them a second life. And we love that so much. And so that is in large part probably our best contribution. But as this network builds, we very much would love to be the place where your network can exist and be searchable statewide in a way that you don't have to maintain it, and we will.
Thank you, Susanna. That's amazing. So it's free to use, both as you advertise your business, but also for anyone who wants to find the services that are out there.
100%, yeah.
I wonder if you would mind, Susan, or Susanna, putting your contact information in the chat, and we'll hold questions for now so we can get caught up a little bit on time. But hopefully we'll have some time later on. And if people can't get a hold of you through the chat later on, they can always get your information from me.
Yep.
So thank you. It's building a whole different kind of directory. I want everyone to use it, but I also want everyone to send me your information so I can know how to get a hold of you when we want to do these meetings and conferences and newsletters and alert you of what's happening out there. So contact information to me, put everything in your directory with Susanna. Doesn't hurt or help, I guess, that we're both named Susan, Susanna. You may get a little confused there, but Front Porch Forum is going to be our best friend. Thank you. Do we have Ariana here? Has she been able to join us? She was running her shop earlier today, so she may be a little behind schedule.
Hey guys, I'm in.
Oh, you're in. Okay, great. I don't think I see you yet, but I'll wait for our tech people to.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else see Ariana?
No, you just need to show yourself if you want to.
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
it flipped out for a second.
Yeah.
Got it. There we go.
Okay, awesome. Am I good to go then?
You're
can
all
see you.
set. Thanks for being here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, of course. Thank you guys so much for having me. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys a quick introduction to what my business is and sort of how it came to be. So my business is called The Makery. We're a secondhand art supply store and community art space. So we do classes for kids and adults of all ages. And so the kind of, I guess this started for a few different reasons. One is I've always been a crafter and an artist, and over time you just amass a lot of things for all of the various hobbies and crafts that you've tried over time. And And I sort of realized that this like wanting to encourage creativity, but also not wanting to be wasteful, we're starting to feel in competition with each other. And I was like, that can't be right, because for so long in history, making things and doing things was about necessity and about reuse, about, you know, turning your old clothes into a quilt and things like that. And so I was like, how did we get to this point where making things no longer feels like a sustainable option? And so that was kind of something that I was thinking about a lot in my head. And also sort of along with that, this idea that I think that we, as people, we like to feel like if we're DIYing, then automatically we're doing something good for the environment. But that so often we don't really know about like where our supplies are coming from. And so kind of a couple things happened for me about 2-3 years ago. I had been working at Must Love Yarn. A lot of you guys may be familiar with the yarn store in Shelburne, and sort of two things that were happening there. One is that periodically people would come in and say like, you know, my so-and-so passed away and we have all this yarn and what do we do with it? And I always felt like I didn't have a good answer for them. And I was always like, I don't know, just bring it to Goodwill. But like, you never know exactly what's going to happen to it there. And they don't really know what they have and how to package it and how to sell it. So people never seemed really satisfied with just taking it to the traditional thrift store. They had, I think, an emotional attachment to like their art supplies and like wanting to have a better answer of what to do with it. And the other thing that was happening is that we were trying to find some environmental information about the yarns that we were carrying at the store, and finding, unfortunately, that there is very little transparency in that. And sort of trying to dig through what we were getting, and everyone coming into the store saying, oh, it's slow fashion, I made it myself. But like, what do we know about these supplies that we're using? And like, how do we even go about trying to get that information? And in the midst of kind of thinking about all these things, I discovered for the first time somehow that stores like this exist in other places. And I was like, how did I not know about that? And also, how do we not have one here in the Burlington area where there are so many creative people and so many environmentally conscious people? And then at some point over those years, it turned into like, how do we not have one, to we really need to have one, into I really need to start that. And then eventually I did. We opened in November of last year. So we've been open almost 6 months now. And yeah, and it's just become really clear since being open that these are not just questions that I was asking, that these seem to be questions a lot of people in Burlington are asking, and obviously you guys are asking. And yeah, figuring out a way to keep these things out of landfill, to keep them from being hoarded in people's basements and thrown out along with, you know, whatever other stuff, and people pass away. And really bringing them, like, I think the key to this is bringing them all to one place, and that like, we know these are things people want, but like, if you go to Goodwill, if you go to their thrift store, maybe there'll be like a couple balls of yarn, and that's great. But like, when you want something for a specific project, you want options, you want variety, you want what Amazon wants to give you, but you don't, but you want it here. And so I think the idea that we can bring all of these supplies that have been all over the place and kind of take them to a centralized location and give people the opportunity to come in and to see everything all laid out and get inspiration and really see options, I think has been kind of the coolest thing about this. And it also really clear not only that people want the supplies that we're selling, but that people have supplies to give, and previously had no place to bring them. We have just been absolutely overwhelmed by the amount of donations that we've received since we've opened. And it is donation for store credit. So when you bring stuff in, you get money to buy future stuff, which is something I really wanted to focus on again, in that idea of like making crafting sustainable and saying like, don't hold on to that stuff that you tried 5 years ago and didn't like it. Bring it here, let somebody else find creativity in it, and you find creativity in something else. And so, yeah, it's just, so far, it's really been incredible. And I'm so glad to talk with you guys and to be a part of this sort of bigger goal in, yeah, in figuring out how to create more circular economy and more reuse in Vermont.
Thanks, Ariana. One of the things I'd like you to explain a little bit about too is you also offer like classes and invite other people in to do programs at different times. Is that right?
Yeah.
So give me an example of what those would be. I think I saw one about darning or.
Yeah, so we have yeah, we've been starting to do some classes. We've offered a couple times a class in mending your clothes, which has sold out within a day both times. And we've also just offered, we want to offer classes on just kind of different crafts, giving people an opportunity to take a really affordably priced class and try something that they've maybe never done before. So we had a knitting class a couple weeks ago. Upcoming, we're going to have a intro to crochet class. We're going to have some like scrapbooking and collage type classes coming up. We also do a program called Mini Makers, which is like toddler kind of open studio time. We put out a whole bunch of different art supplies at different stations and just really let kids play and explore different things. We're going to be working towards putting together some more classes for older kids coming up. We're still figuring out exactly what that's going to look like. And then we're also we host a free craft night once a month and are also putting together more kind of informal, I'm calling them like craft and sip right now, just for lack of any better terminology for it. But just the idea of like, we'll supply all of the things for a project, come hang out, bring a beverage if you want. And just creating a place for people to come and hang out and just make something with their hands and not having it be about becoming a great artist as much as it is just like doing something and meeting new folks and just getting out.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome combination. It's a great business model to not only have a store, but to also provide the opportunities and the incentives for people to come in and enjoy what you're doing there. So
yeah,
thank
it's been
you.
really
Thanks
fun.
so much.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah. And I think the fact that there's something new happening, right? Like this, this whole project seems to be at a very opportune time. Here's someone who is just starting a new business. And, we've had other businesses who have been successful for decades. And then just recently, the 7 Days has carried a couple of different articles on the whole reuse and thrifting environment, economy. And I think, yeah, it's good to see new businesses growing along the same time we're getting a lot of good publicity in the press. So
yeah,
I think we've got some good traction underneath us. Thanks so much, Ariana.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And to whoever's asking in the chat, the store is called The Makery. Again, you can find us at themakeryvt.com. And yeah, we are on Pine Street. Oh, and somebody just actually posted the link. Awesome. So yeah, you can find us there. All the details about where we're at, how to donate, how to find us, our upcoming classes, etc., are all going to be there.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So next on the agenda here is Emily from Addison County Solid Waste. I think Emily was able to join us. She also had another meeting earlier today, so I think we're pushing her schedule for the day, but hopefully we can get her slides up, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about repair cafes, which I think are not only a great way to get that thing repaired, they also build community. And as I said earlier in the introduction, the only problem with repair cafes is they're intermittent, and we'd love to see how we can move to having more of those or some kind of semi-permanent repair opportunities for folks. So take it away, Emily.
All right. Hi, everyone. I just tried to share my screen, so please let me know if you can see my slides.
Yep,
We
can see
Great.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So I am here today to talk about our repair fairs. So here in Addison County, we try to have a repair fair once every single year. We've been doing this for 7 years now. So if you can see my slide change, I have a list of all of the different repair events we have hosted. We originally started this as a repair cafe, which is a model created by someone else by the name of Martine Potstma. We do not use the repair cafe model itself right now. Over time, we kind of amended the event a little bit, which is how we came up with the name repair fair instead of repair cafe. So the first one we hosted was in June 2018, and it took place right here in Middlebury at the Middlebury Union High School. The second one, we moved to the Hannaford Career Center, which is also in Middlebury. That one was pretty nice because the Career Center had a lot of tools that we could just borrow for the event. It had some really nice spaces for the fixers to work on, which is what we call the volunteers who are at this event. We hosted 2 repair fairs there, so one in February of 2019 and one in November of 2019. Our next one was post-pandemic and didn't occur until 2022. It was in March of 2022. Oh, sorry, that was also at the Makery. So we hosted 3 there. We then had one at the Bixby Library, which is in Vergennes, so outside of Middlebury. And that one was a little bit special because it was for clothing and textiles only. So with that one, we were still coming out of the pandemic, so we did not have a full repair fair quite yet. These are pretty well-attended events, so we wanted to keep it a little bit smaller and focus on one specific area of repair. So that was a really great repair fair to host and a great experiment. The past 2 we have been at a new venue. So we've been hosting them at the American Legion in Middlebury, which is right down the road from our office. Our first one there was in April of 2024, and our second one just happened not that long ago in April of 2025. Each of these events we've kind of learned a lesson from, and over the past many years we've been doing this, we have several suggestions on how to host a successful repair fair, and we've amended how we do it ourselves. So first and foremost, the most important part of these events are the volunteers. And here are some photos of our previous fairs and some of our very thoughtful volunteers who have dedicated time out of their schedule to come to this event and help fix items. So we always have a set of what we call fixer volunteers. Those are the people who are actually taking in the items and doing whatever fix is needed to the item in order to fix it. We then have a set of general volunteers. So that is for people who are checking people in and out of the event. We have what is called a router, or someone who is actually moving those broken items to the fixers themselves. And then we also have just some other general volunteers for maintenance of our food table. We do bring in a big display of food for the public, or other roles like walking around the event and fixing any problems as they arise. So volunteers are the most important aspect of this event, and a lot of our early involvement in this event is recruiting volunteers. We spend probably about 2 to 3 months recruiting volunteers before the event occurs itself. And now that we have been working on this event for many years, we do have a large list of volunteers who we reach out to and they come back, which is amazing. So before we even set a date for each fair, we like to reach out to our past fixers, get a sense of what works in their schedule, and move from there. We try to make sure that they are treated very well at the event so that they are more likely to return. So our fixers get a private lunch, and at the end of each event, we do get a gift card just for our thanks of their time. In order for these events to operate, you really do need as many fixers as you possibly can. So the past couple of fairs, we've had between 20 to 30 fixer volunteers who are experienced in a couple of different things. Our largest category is mainly electronics repair. We get in a lot of lamps, so we like to have people who know how to solder, who know how to fix electronics. We like people who are very skilled. And one of our fixers here on the screen, Mike Golden, he has come to every single event, and he's been a really big help in not only gathering fixers, but helping us understand what we need in order to make this successful. All of the fixers also have access to a share table of tools and supplies. So we do reach out to our fixers and ask them what they need from us in order to repair items. Most of them do bring their own toolbox, but we will supply glues or tape, some small nails, bolts if needed, or other items like that. So how we recruit is largely through advertising. So first we use our social medias, which is Front Porch Forum, Instagram, and Facebook. We did just hear from Front Porch Forum, but that is largely how most volunteers or other people find out about our repair fairs. We also advertise our repair fair in our newsletter. So our SWME, our district, sends out a every single door newsletter about twice a year. It reaches the every business in the county and every home in the county. And we try to put the repair fair on page 1 of that newsletter so it's big and bold and people can see that it is happening. We also run radio ads. We reach out to our local newspaper, which is the Addison Independent. Word of mouth is another way we advertise now that we've been doing this for several years. Once we start advertising it, it very quickly spreads around that we are having the next repair fair, and we will have people reach out to us to sign up for it. And previous fixers also will talk to their friends about it because it's just such a wonderful event. We then also have event flyers that we hang up around local public places. Here's some more photos of how the event operates. So you can see here we have some woodworkers and we also have some electronic fixers. These are all from the last one we did at the American Legion here in Middlebury. And you can kind of get a sense from this of what type of items people bring in for repair. It is a smorgasbord of items. We never really know what everything will look like. But in recent years, we have started pre-registering items for the event. So in the beginning, first couple of years, we just kind of advertised the event and had people show up, which led to this kind of glut at the beginning of the event, where everyone came within the first 1 to 2 hours. Now that we are pre-registering, we try to stagger items throughout the event so the electronics fixers aren't overwhelmed within the first hour. And so there is no time at the event where certain fixers are like, I haven't repaired something in 2 hours, so I'm just going to leave. Staggering it helps to make their event a little bit more seamless, where they feel like they can have breaks if needed. They're not overwhelmed. And it also helps with the public so they aren't bringing in items and then sitting and waiting for 2 hours before it can get seen and fixed. So that was a recent addition and has really helped the flow of our event. We split it into roughly 4 hour of time slots. So hour 1 is the first group, hour 2 is the second group, hour 3 is the third group, and then hour 4 is the fourth group. People can arrive at any point in time during that hour, but we just want to stagger it. Here are some other photos from the repair fair. So we do have some sewers there as well. We have a couple returning sewers every single year, which is pretty great. We also have bike repair. And one thing I would like to point out specifically with bikes is we have had some years where we have fixers sign up who have a specialty, such as bike repair. But then when we pre-register items, no bikes sign up to be repaired. So having that background knowledge of what items are going to come in to the event really helps us be able to tell certain fixers, in case there's nothing coming in for them, hey, I really appreciate you signing up for this, but we don't think it'll be worth your time because no one is coming in who will repair this item. So it helps us with our background.
Excuse me a minute, Emily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a 2-minute warning here. We're running a little late, so I want to kind of just keep things moving. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start speaking fast. So we have a lot of paperwork that goes on at the event. We have a volunteer waiver, which just waives their responsibility for it. We don't want a volunteer to be sued in case they break an item or have angry people from the public. So the waiver protects not only them, but also us from liability. We have a routing slip, which is how items move around the event. So participants will fill out the top half of that routing slip with their name, what they have, what is broken. And then the fixers will fill out the bottom half, which is what actually was wrong with the item, what parts or materials they use, was it repaired, and any other issues. So that helps us year over year know what we need to bring for our supply table. And it also helps the fixer know right from the beginning if the person knows what was wrong with the item, what they need to do to fix it. So takes away some diagnostics. We also have a lot of exit surveys that again help us improve the event year over year. We also track a lot of data from this event. So one thing that we use is the repair rate, which is the total items repaired divided by the total items brought to the event. Here are some stats from all of our past repair fairs. So in June of 2018, we had 68 items at our first ever event, and the repair rate was 74%. February 2019, we had 91 items, and we had a 58% repair rate. November 2019, we had 90 items with a 59% repair rate. March 2022, we had 81 items with a 60% repair rate. February 2023, which was our special fair, only for textiles, we did have 26 items. April 2024, we had 137 items with a 72% repair rate. April 2025, we had 125 items with a 79% repair rate. So over time, we have increased the amount of items that we are repairing at each of these fairs, and I think it is due to our paperwork and background knowledge. Type of categories we see, so again, it's mainly electrical, electronics, those are our largest categories. We also see a lot of clothing and shoes. We see small appliances, and then we have some things that are less common, like tool sharpening, bikes, jewelry, or any other thing that people bring in. But the largest category by far are those electronics. And then here is just some feedback we've received from our community. People really love these events. They are very happy that we host it once per year. People will save up their items year over year to get it repaired at the repair fair rather than throw it away. And they are just a really great community event. We have kids activities, we have food for people, and we like to advertise it as a place where people can not only meet their neighbors, but also get items fixed. And it's really about a transfer of skills. So we like to partner people from the public with a fixer, sit them down with them, and they can learn how to possibly fix the items themselves so they can do it in the future with other items that are broken.
Emily, I'm going to have to end you there. Thank
Yeah, that's
you. You've
Yep.
got a lot of great information there. I certainly appreciate it. And my only regret is that I don't live anywhere near Addison County, but may have to be a special field trip for next year's event. Thank you. We are running a little bit late, so I'm going to run, instead of doing questions, again, feel free to use the chat. It will all be taken care of and recorded there later on. We can circle back to those and respond to you individually or as a group. But Anne, maybe I'm going to have you walk us right into the group discussion then, if you want to do that, break people into groups.
Yeah, great. So we're going to go into small group discussion. We have 2 questions that we want you to discuss, and I'm going to put them in the chat right now. So the first one is, how can we encourage more Vermonters to use reuse or repair services? So how can we grow this network or this group of interested folks? And then what would you like to learn more about at future meetings? I can't remember if we talked about this in the beginning, but our goal is to have, probably at least 2 more network meetings, and then we're going to culminate in a conference next spring. So it looks like maybe some people are going to need to hop off, but so now we're down to 36. Okay. Teams is going to randomly assign you to a group, and then once I hit go to rooms, you'll head to a room. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see those questions. So if you can, you might want to jot them down quickly or cut and paste them onto a separate document. And I am going to ask in the room, if there isn't a DEC staffer that can take notes, if one person in the room wouldn't mind taking some notes and then sending them on to Susan later on. We would love that help.
Mm-hmm.
So again, those 2 questions are, how can we encourage more people to be involved? And then what would you like to learn more about at future meetings? And I'm going to put we're down to 32. So I'm going to reduce the number of rooms.
And so when the time is up, Anne, we will all reconvene back here for a quick wrap up.
Yes, sorry. So I will close the rooms probably at about 3:20. So we'll have about 20 minutes to talk. And then we'll have a wrap up and we'll get you out of here at 3:30. So thanks again for your participation, and we hope you stick around for the rooms. And you're about to be put into those rooms. So enjoy your discussion.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Mike Sicily calling from Mike's Lights. I'm sorry I couldn't join.
We're about to actually go into some breakout rooms. Mike, if you're
Is it working?
Haven't gotten there yet. Oh, it looks like I'm in a group now with
Are we with
a
you?
couple other people. I
Hi,
think,
Wendy.
yeah, I think Anne, you and I and one other person. Is that Wendy?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we are in our group already, Anne. It's just the three of us. Ironically, you and I would end up in the
Sorry,
same
huh.
group.
It's interesting. I don't know why. It's not showing for me that there's one room with 3 people. Oh, maybe somebody exited
They were
before.
in it and they probably
Okay,
dropped out. Yeah.
sorry.
Wendy, tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you do.
I own Everlasting Herb Farm in Peacham, and I've worked with the Northeast Kingdom Solid Waste District to try to rethink my packaging. And I'm reusing some Vermont flannel waste in my products, giving it new
okay.
life. So in my deodorant, so that's exciting. And right now I'm collecting the packaging materials for the town of Peacham at the post office. If anybody has any bubble wrap or packing material, and then I share what I can't use with another business in Barnet.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's great because I used you as an example to someone today. I just became aware of your business yesterday from someone at a solid waste district who said you were using leftover scraps, remnants from the flannel company to package your deodorants. And I thought, this is great. A homemade Vermont product paired with reusable fabric from another homemade Vermont company. So
yeah, I'll just show you. I don't know if you can see. This is the packaging. It's a tin for the deodorant.
Okay.
So it's plastic-free deodorant, which is exciting. And then it has a bee on it. I'm a retired teacher, so I do a whole lot about the education about solitary pollinators. But this is the Vermont flannel waste organic fabric that they can't use. They have quilt kits, but this isn't square.
Okay.
So they sell these to me for a penny a piece.
Oh, that's great.
Sweet.
And then I put them in my packaging. And so that's just one of the things that I try to do to make the world a better place.
Susan,
awesome.
I can float between the other rooms, so I'm gonna see how it's going in the other rooms. And I think
Please
this
do,
new
yep.
person joined us by the phone, but I can't tell who you are if you can hear us.
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, good.
Yes,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, this is Mike from Mike's Lights. I'm sorry I couldn't be in sooner.
No worries, Mike from Mike's Lights. You are my neighbor and you have 2 of my lights that are being repaired right now.
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you could join in at least part of it here. I don't know if you were able to hear what Wendy's doing. But Mike, if you want to explain a little bit about your job, what your interest in reuse is.
Well, I repair lamps, restore old lamps. I build lamps out of different things, actually jars and stuff, spaghetti sauce jars and things like that, and other things, but that's pretty much what I do.
So the first question that we're gonna spend a little few minutes on just chatting about here is what can we do to encourage more Vermonters to use or reuse repairs, to use reuse or repair services?
Okay.
One of the things we talked about earlier was, and you were probably not on for this, Mike, but I think Wendy saw it, is that Front Porch Forum actually offers this free service of a directory that you can go online for free and enter your business information, where you are, what you're located, what you want to do, what, you know, some people put in there, you know, I'll accept these 4 items, but I won't accept these items, because a lot of thrift shops are picky about what they take. But it's available to anyone who wants to be on Front Porch Forum. So I could go in and I could query, for lack of a better word, I could search for, you know, who's repairing lights in Washington County, and it would give me all that information. Or if I want to be, you know, very local, hyper local, I can say who's repairing lights in Cabot, and Mike's Lights would pop up if you've put your information in there, which is very, I think, useful and very, very cool for a free first step in how we're going to encourage more Vermonters to use the reuse and repair services, because I didn't know it existed.
I actually have done some advertising on them with them, and I'm surprised they didn't mention that to me. So is this a new thing that's just been added?
No, apparently it's been there all along, but most of us didn't recognize it was there. And the nice thing about it, Mike, is that you don't have to pay for it. It's totally free to go in, and you just fill out all their forms. And they said the more you can put in about your company and the description and what you do, the more likely your business will come up when somebody searches. And then the other thing they recommended is if you have customers who you say, hey, if you're on Front Porch Forum and you're happy with the lamp that I just fixed, would you put a recommendation up on Front Porch Forum? So that automatically goes up on the comments section of Front Porch Forum, but it also gets collected and added to your directory. So when I search for Mike's Lights, or if I search for lamp repair in Washington County and Mike's Lights come up, not only does everything you put in there show up, but also any recommendations that people who have used your services write about you. So it's
That's
an
awesome.
automatic, yeah.
So is that where you do that? Is that if you scroll down to the bottom of their page where it has contact information and all that?
I don't think so. She said that when you open up Front Porch Forum, there's a screen at the top and it says directories, like the 3rd option under calendar, posting, calendar, directory, and something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice info.
The other nice thing about it, Mike, is she said once a month you get a free ad. Or a free post. You can post for free from your directory. So if you've been
Nice.
paying for ads, yeah, this way you get it free.
They did tell me that you could put 1 ad on a month. So the last time I was looking to them, yeah. But I'm definitely going to do that. It's great.
Awesome. So to me, that's like one way to encourage people to do reuse and repair, because it's easy and it's convenient and everybody has access to it. What are you guys recommending? How else do we encourage people to do reuse and repairs rather than just the linear economy where everything goes in the landfill?
I think if there were some places that were designated places that you could bring things that you knew of, and I'm hearing like, oh, there's something in Addison County that's so far from me in Peacham. I'm not going to go to Addison County to do anything environmentally as much as I care about Vermont. But like, if there just was a consistency across the state, so maybe something in Addison County, something in the Northeast Kingdom, and they were all similar, maybe happening, and then people would be more aware on a larger scale. And if they happened with frequency, things have to happen like often enough that people pay attention.
So true. Kind of like farmers markets, you know, like they're great. They only happen seasonally, but you know, it's every Wednesday from 1 to 3, right? So I like the idea of something that's a designated location with a designated time slot. Yeah.
And then Mike, I have a couple of lamps that I just want to give away. They don't work. I don't need anything from them, but can you use them?
Sure. I'll try to do something with them. Yeah.
Where are you in
definitely.
Cabot?
Because I work out of my home.
Okay, so if I look up Mike's Lights, I'll be able to find you?
Yeah, I'm on Google. I have a Google page.
Okay.
I have a website, but it doesn't
awesome.
work very much. I don't know how to set it up, and I haven't had anybody do it, so. But I will say something about lamps. Most of the older lamps, say 20 years or older are way nicer lamps than what you can even buy in a store now.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way
So
they're
true.
made. A base in a lamp now, you know, is a piece of plastic filled with concrete, and they usually fall apart after 10 years. They used to be cast iron.
Yeah, these are two very old lamps, so like I'd be happy to get them.
So I
Yeah.
think you guys have just identified yet another way, which is this peer-to-peer access, right? By being in this network, you could be like, oh, Mike, yeah, he does lights and I really want to get rid of these, but I want to take them to the dump. I'll see if there's something. And I think because everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, I think a lot of people are interested and involved in this because they do have an appreciation for living lightly, right? So peer-to-peer is another good way that we can encourage more reuse and repair. You got to know who the people are, and you got to know where to take it, and you got to know when you can take it. So That's
I don't
great.
know how many of you are there talking today, but are we going to be able to share each other's names and stuff like what you're talking about?
That's a great
what is it?
question. We had 45 people on at one point, and we have on a listserv, or when we don't have a listserv, we have a list of names, which is my kind of like my contact list of about 150 people. Most of them are in the repair reuse business. Some of them are like people who work in the solid waste world, whose job it is to try and reduce the amount of waste. And a few like just interested, curious people who, you know, again, they believe in living lightly and they want to know how to access repair cafes or people who have permanent locations or where to donate my packing materials. Like Wendy, you said you're collecting packaging material at the post office. So we do have that list. The question is whether we can share everybody's individual names, and that will be something we're going to ask people in our next email, which is to say a couple of, we're going to do a little survey and ask people, you know, first of all, do you still want to be on this list? If not, we'll take you off because we don't want to bother you with your email. Two, you know, how do you feel about, you know, sharing and where would we share it? And just some other follow-up questions. So, yeah.
In Vermont, word of mouth is everything, you know. Somebody that you know tells somebody that they know something that's nice about what they did or whatever, it works, you know.
So true. So true. A lot of our community gathering places are good for that. So, anything else we want to report out to the group in terms of encouraging reuse and repair?
Something that I've been thinking about since we've had 2 floods, 2 Julys now in a row, it seems like things that you store in your basement are just not things that are a priority for you as a person. You know what I mean? I wouldn't store anything precious in my basement. And yet and as a town, end up cleaning out tons of people's basement. And so much of that goes to the landfill because it's totally trashed at that point. I wonder if there could just be a preliminary rush to clean out your basement to get what, you know, to get what you don't need to somebody else would be like a really good cause.
Yeah,
No, I think it's a great idea because, you know, we do have like community garage sales, right? Like sometimes they do that once a year in communities. And you could say, you know, this is your community clean out day. And some towns will actually help support the cost of landfilling if it doesn't get picked up and swapped. Like I know as a kid, we used to have, I lived in a suburban area, so every Tuesday night was trash night, or Wednesday morning was trash pickup. Tuesday night was go around and see what you can find, what the neighbors are giving away that you might want. My brother and I used to spend a lot of time doing that. So yeah, like a community clean out day, like every year, kind of like we have green up day. But you're right. If we could find somebody to reuse it before the basements get flooded and it has to go to the landfill, right? Like preventative care.
Yep. You made me
Yeah.
think of something too. When UVM's moving out or all the state colleges are moving out, wouldn't that be fun? Like kids put what they don't want on the streets and then people go around and pick it up. I bet you pick up some great stuff.
I know. Yeah, I know when my daughter finished college, I was shocked. Every year I'd go down to help her move back out. And I was shocked at how much stuff students leave behind, especially those who are graduating and moving on, because a lot of them pay for storage during the summer months. And a lot of companies like Habitat for Humanity will go around with trucks and pick up the
Okay, good.
the apartment refrigerators, the futons, all the typical stuff. But no, I think you're right. I think there is an opportunity there if the community knows those things are available, right? That's the
Right,
problem.
right. Just make it a pronounced time, because I think people do it under the cover of darkness and shame, and they don't realize
Right.
it should be something they should be very proud about. It should be like Wednesday thing.
I like that. The pride in being a reuser and a repair as opposed to an Amazon addict. Did you have something else there, Mike? I felt like I cut you off.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
But I
Let's
think
work
it is
on the
really important. I think that having a list of each other is really important because I, meet a lot of people and I'll send people if they're looking for something, somebody's way.
Okay, good to know. Let's work a little bit on this second question here, which is, what would you like to learn more about at future meetings? And examples might be, how to do marketing or workforce training or business planning, or what's going on in other states and how do they organize their reuse networks? I mean, those are just examples, but clearly anything that you feel that there's a need for. I know in the chat, I saw one guy who had donated some surplus building materials and thought they were going to get a better tax deduction on it than they did. It was an order of magnitude less once they ran it by their accountants. So maybe, I think for some people that's a concern. But I don't know what the resolution is on that, but as we said early on, without you all feeding into the conversation, we won't be successful unless we hear from the people on our listserv what they need and what will help them grow this community.
Yeah.
One thing that I've heard quite a bit about is, and if you saw the pictures from the presentation, how many people in those rooms were gray-haired, right? So it's an aging population of people who have these skill sets to pass along, right? It used to be every household had a sewing machine and had a whole, tool chest and workbench. We all grew up, generations ago. Everybody was a farmer and everybody had to make do or do without, right? So I've heard a lot about training as a concern. Like we have some pretty good stuff going on at the tech school, but it's usually pretty focused on plumbing, electrical, things like that, as opposed to kind of like handy person skill sets. So
yeah, that's the
It'd
truth.
be nice to have everything, like, again, a consistency. So like all the career centers in Vermont trying to do this program, like sharing what Middlebury does.
yeah, that's a good idea. And you're right, if it's consistent, unlike recycling in Vermont, if it was consistent, we'd probably be much more successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all do it a little bit differently. So let's just see. We have a couple more minutes. Is there anything else anyone would like to just add in? At this point?
Yeah,
Anything?
I couldn't get my video or my audio to work, so I kicked myself out of my meeting and came back in, and I came back into you instead of into the room, into the other room.
Yeah. Well, no, glad to have you join in, Marilyn. We were just wrapping up, but if you have, the two questions are, how do we encourage Vermonters to do more reuse and repair? And then what would you like to hear future conversation? What could we
in the
organize?
discussion group that they were having, people were saying that they didn't want to be an organizer because first person said you really need to have organizers and people will come, and the other person said, yeah, but I really don't know how to be an organizer. I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, Casella sponsored iFixit in Barrie, and we held it at our church. And at that time, they had a pamphlet on how to organize. So
Okay.
that's available somewhere. I'm not sure I can find my copy. It was so long ago, but I know they produced one that said this is how you go about it.
You know, I think that's a great comment, because if you don't know where to start, it's a barrier, right? And I do think the Central Vermont Solid Waste District has that on their website, and maybe that's something we can get people to, you know, at a future meeting, direct people to that as a resource. Yeah, and just so you know, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, we are going to do some follow-up in between these meetings. We'll probably do 2 or 3 in the next 6 or 9 months, and we'll do some follow-up in between those as well.
Okay. And the other thing is, and it doesn't directly meet this, but the the Northeast Solid Waste District in
Sure.
Lindenville now has a place. So if you live in that district, you can bring your hard styrofoam, the kind that comes in with your TVs and stuff like that. Not the really, that's the kind, so like what your meat comes in and what your computers come in, that kind of hard stuff you can take there. And there's a business now that
Marilyn,
consolidated into 50-pound blocks. And
I'm sorry
so,
to interrupt for 1 second, but
Yeah.
Susan, I just wanted to check with you. I was going to close the rooms and bring everyone back.
Okay.
I got to get into each room, so at least everybody was in a room, I think, and talking.
Great.
Great. Unless you want to give it a little more
timing wise,
time.
we should wrap it up, Anne, and because
Yeah.
we do want to have a chance to tell them what's coming next.
Okay. And I didn't know if you wanted to ask anyone to do any kind of a share out, but I'll leave that up to you.
I think given the time, we probably
Yeah.
shouldn't. We only have
Okay.
7 minutes left.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so I am going to close the rooms in a minute, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Marilyn.
that's
no,
fine.
that's fine.
Marilyn, I know what you're talking about, and that's a good piece of information that we'll try and get out there to folks, right? Like
Okay.
if people don't know what's available, like you said, with the how to start a repair cafe, they don't know where to start. It's a barrier to getting reuse happening. So
Special. From our group.
Get the parts
Oh,
that you need.
we're going back.
Oh, here we come. Here we go.
Just
Sorry,
as a
everyone.
reminder, for background noise, if people can mute themselves as we re-enter this main room. Thank you.
Yeah, there's not really a very graceful way to bring people back. I hate that when you're in the middle of a thought, but hopefully you were able to capture some of your thoughts and can send them to Susan or me afterwards.
Unfortunately, I lost my video. I'm going to leave and come back.
Oh, okay. So Susan, everybody should be back now.
Okay, I just, so you all know, I just put my contact information, mullandmore@outlook.com. That's my email address. And we would love to hear back from all of you. We had a full agenda. We moved through it very, very quickly. And I apologize, we don't have time for more Q&A, because I think there is still some interest in getting more information, either from our presenters or just some good ideas you guys have come up with. So please feel free to use that email and send your information our way, because I don't know about your other small groups, but we came up with some good ideas. And as Anne said originally, we will only be successful if you all participate. So just have a few minutes left here to wrap up. And thank you all for your time and your attention. This recording will be sent out after we get our technology figured out. We'll send it out to you. I just want to make you all aware that I am collecting all of the contact information for people in this space who want to be included in a continuing conversation, and we will be putting those together in one listserv. It'll be like one, and it'll be an email that comes to you, and everyone will be receiving it. So if you don't want to receive that, when you get your first one, we'll have an opt-out, or you can use that email address and let me know, and we'll get you out of that listserv. But we do think that's probably the best way to communicate with a large group of people. I think right now we have about 150 people in that contact list, and we just want to be using it judiciously and knowing that it goes to 150 people. So every time you respond to it, your 150 people are going to hear you, but also we do want to build it up. So if you have other people in your world that would like to be involved and engaged in this conversation, please let us know. Couple of things. So we will be distilling everything that we got from today and responding back. The recording will be available through the listserv. Just so you know, we're going to have continuing conversations probably in September and then again in January. And we would love to bring information, presenters, things to you that you want that will be helpful for you. I can come up with all kinds of ideas, but if it's not something that really is helpful for you, that's not going to be interesting. So send me the information that you want to hear about. And that'll be, again, probably mid-September, mid-January. And then the larger picture going forward is we hope to be able to host a one-day conference in, about this time next year, where we can bring together all of us that are engaged in this space, whether it's reducing, reusing, repairing, and create a continuing sustainable group of like-minded people and build and grow our interest and meet our goals of creating more circular and local economy, reducing what goes into the landfill, and elevating and amplifying all the good work that the reusers and repairers do. I heard some really interesting things in some of the conversations. We do want to talk about skill training or some training. If you saw Emily's photos, a lot of gray-haired people in there, not a lot of younger people who have these skill sets. So skill development. There was some questions in there about taxes. I don't know if there's any legislative issues that might be helpful. Those are bigger, larger, ongoing things that we hope that by building this community we'll be able to tackle. And I think that's all I have. Anne, do you want to put in a plug for anything at the end?
We have one more quick poll.
I'm sorry. We did have a poll. Yes.
Well, let's see if it'll let me bring it up. I don't see it. Well, you know what? I'm just going to put the question in the chat. It's simpler. We are just curious what you think about the name ReVT. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up. Use the reaction button. And if you don't like it, or if you have other ideas, please put those in the chat too. And Susan just put together the logo, and that's something we're considering. Should we keep it, or does anyone in the network have graphic design skills and want to come up with some other options? That's another option too. Let's see.
Yeah, I think a good way to make sure everybody stays connected and we're all talking on the, working off the same sheet is that we have a brand of some sort for this particular project and ongoing. And I know there's a lot of creative and innovative folks out there, much more so than I, who could either come up with a name or a tagline and or a logo. So happy to get those ideas. Absolutely. All right.
And so I would just say thanks again for coming, for those 29 people that have stayed till the end of the meeting. We will be in touch with next steps and hope that you will stay involved. And I feel like there was something else, but so pirate could be a bad idea. Oh, Vermont. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, we got a lot to think about with the name. So yeah, thanks again.
I would also just ask people to say, if you want to communicate back more thoughts on, also what day, what time of day, we're not going to make it easy for everybody, but, because these things will be recorded, you'll always have access to meetings. So if it's a daytime meeting and you can't make it, or if it's a specific day of the week that you can't make, you can certainly let us know your preferences. We just won't be able to necessarily accommodate everyone. We'll do our best though, and the recordings will be available.
Yeah, and
all right.
And the final email will also have a chance for you to give us feedback about this meeting, because we want to make the next one better and improve upon what we've done so far. So thanks again to everyone for coming, and I hope you get out and enjoy some of this sunshine.
It's still sunny out. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Much.
We could just keep it open in case anyone has a closing comment. Looks like we're down. Okay, we're done.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Oops, I haven't had a chance to read through all the chat. Yeah, thanks, Cassandra, and whoever else is there with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if, oh, Shannon already X'd out. If you want to just stay on and
reading the chat comments here.
Yeah. Rainy days, I like that. I wish we could do that.
What'd they say? Only have meetings on rainy days?
Yeah, rainy days. I know, I think that might be why we lost some people at the end. Because when I went to put people in groups, it was 42. There were still 42, and then all of a sudden it went down to like 30 something. And
yeah, and that was just about at an hour too. So
yeah,
I think it is hard to go longer than an hour sometimes. Yeah,
agreed.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was kind of sad we didn't get to the Q&A discussion stuff.
Yeah,
because I was hoping to hear other people talk about barriers. From where I was coming from, like I kind of pigeonholed myself into working in offices. I became an office manager, and then I was an admin assistant. And I just never found myself in a place to be able to access education resources and stuff like that, especially not affordably. And so I don't know if other people had experiences or workarounds they'd come up with those things.
Do you mean more like barriers for the people who started their own businesses, like the Makery, or just in general for?
Yeah, for people who started their businesses, especially, but like, like I've tried to get my business off the ground in one form or another since like 2018, I dare say. But between already having a college bachelor's degree, which prevents me from having access to a number of programs, which are designed, haven't gotten a bachelor's degree yet.
Okay.
There were so many opportunities that I just felt like I could not possibly afford, and I didn't know anything about the grants program until just a month ago or so. But, yeah. Just in case other people.
Well, barriers, I think, is going to be a ongoing conversation. I'm thinking more about barriers for kind of elevating the community as a a viable business option. And I do think things that I've heard, again, training, getting the right training, maybe marketing. Hopefully this directory helps people get their business out there a little bit more. And I love that it's free. I know somebody wasn't too happy with the Front Porch Forum having all our information. That was one of the comments, but we will
Very.
continue, to work on finding out what the barriers are. And the only way we can elevate and amplify is if we know what those barriers are and help knock them down for folks. So if you have very specific ones too, other than what I'm hearing you say is access to grant money for programs that you're disqualified because you've already finished your bachelor's degree. Yeah. And a lot of them would be for people just starting on a professional career. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
like, I get why they're oriented that way. It just does it leaves people like me, I don't know how many there are, but it does leave people like me kind of feeling a little bit on the outskirts of things. It wasn't until I started transitioning that I finally felt comfortable reaching out to Vermont Works for Women and some resources through with Paige over there. But at a certain point, I just stopped worrying about being like certified to do things. And I'm just like, I mean, I have the tools. Stuff. Like I was so hung up on like, I have to have like certificates and stuff to be able to say like, well, no, I know what I'm doing. Just start doing it. So.
Well, by building this community, hopefully those programs that are already in place will start looking at different ways to support this community, right? Like it's hard to get support behind things that don't have a lot of critical mass or, has a brand, it's like, hey, I'm out here doing this all by myself. I need help. It's usually when there's enough of a community and a critical mass reach that those programs will change what their criteria are to accommodate a larger critical mass. So I am going to have to sign off here myself.